Stepping into this forest is a journey back in time. Old-growth trees, wildlife, all types of living things are here. On closer inspection, there's evidence of humans. This is, in fact, a working forest. There's been logging activity here for over 50 years. Merv Wilkinson is the keeper of this forest, a place that has come to be known as Wildwood. This 139-acre forest, located on southern Vancouver Island, has become a model for sustainable forestry. Against a background of mistrust and confrontation between foresters and environmentalists, Merv and Wildwood stand out.
When I started cutting in 1945, this was a stand of completely uncut timber. It was virgin timber, in other words, a rainforest. As the larger ones were cut out and thinned out, the younger trees have taken over. This is a tree that I'm considering taking out at the moment, and to get more light into this adjoining area and get more regeneration, as you can see further back where the light picture is a little better. These trees get very dense very quickly, and so this is where the forester can assist nature rather than waiting for a storm or a fire or something of nature's doing to eliminate a few trees to get more started. This tree is a candidate to go. In selection, proper selection, you don't just take your biggest trees. That would be foolhardy. And in order to keep your forest balanced, you're going to have trees of all sizes and all ages in there, as well as all species. Now, the advantage, too, to having big old trees is that they're tall. And they encourage the younger trees to grow up rather than sideways. So you get a better quality of timber, like you see around us here. Then, too, you want seeding for your forest. You're not going to have to plant. So you want some of the best trees possible to keep your gene pool up for your seeding. Now, those trees, the best trees possible, are the big ones, because they've weathered storms, they've weathered lightning strikes, they've weathered fire, they've gone through everything nature can throw at them, and they're still there and healthy and doing well. So a seed from that tree is worth 10 times, or 10 seeds from a junky tree that may look healthy, have a lot of limbs on it, and no quality wood.
When Merv bought Wildwood back in 1938, his plan was to clear some of the land for farming. He went to the University of British Columbia to study agriculture, but there he met Swedish professor Paul Boving. When Professor Boving found out that Merv owned a forest, he offered to tutor him in the European technique of sustainable forestry. From the very beginning, Merv embraced the philosophies of selection forest management that allow for the harvesting of timber while maintaining a healthy ecosystem.
If you have I like to use the bank account. If you have a bank account and you only spend the interest on that bank account and never go above it, you're always going to have the principal. And it's the same in the forest. If you spend the interest, which is your annual growth rate, if you spend the interest, you always have the forest.
The public discovered Wildwood in 1985 when a story appeared on the CBC. As soon as that program was over, Merv's phone started ringing. People wanted to come and see for themselves. Over 10 years later, they're still coming. The company that organized this group brought 50 busloads of tourists here in 1996. It's gotten so busy, Merv's had to hire and train a tour guide to help carry the load. Merv and Wildwood have become celebrities. Not only tourists and school children come, but film crews and reporters from all over the world have been here to see the trees, talk to the man who's become legendary in ecoforestry.
Our project is, we in Banfield, where our school is, there's an area that's been slated for a community woodlot license.
In the last 10 years, Wildwood has become one of the most analyzed 139 acres of forest in North America. Scientists and students come from all over to talk to Merv and study his forest.
Our students are from the United States, and they're mostly environmental studies majors, and they come here so they can get some transferable skills and go out back into their own communities, look at ways that you can minimize the impact on the environment. So lots of them come from forestry communities, Washington, Oregon. and so they can take these skills back with them, go to work. One of the reasons we picked this forest was that it's one of the only selectively managed old growth stands with old growth characteristics on Vancouver Island, and we'll be working in old growth forest on the west side, and we're interested in seeing how you manage for those old growth characteristics, as well as, I mean, there's lots of people that do it for second growth, but this is unique because it is old growth, and MERV has worked over time to manage for those features.
So when we talk about biodiversity, we shouldn't only think of number of species, but also of number and diversity of functions. And that changes throughout the lifetime of a tree and throughout the lifetime of a forest in succession. Over the last few weeks, we've been doing a study on succession with my class in first year biology at Malaspina University College. We're trying to give the students some first-hand experience in studying succession in a Douglas fir ecosystem. Succession is the gradual change of species composition and of structure over ecological time. It seems ironic that we find the best plot in a late successional stage in a place where there's active forestry happening. This is a very good example of a fairly natural late successional Douglas fir forest. And look, there's a little nest in one of the woodpecker holes. So you only find that in the older trees, because of course you've got to have a bark big enough to attract woodpeckers and then to be thick enough also to hold a hole that other little birds will use for cavities. So it's a good example of how a tree can change its ecological niche throughout its lifespan. As you remember from lecture, ecological niche is all the functions that an organism fulfills in its system, in this case a forest.
Merv has made forestry his life's study, and the fact that he's replaced the volume of timber on his property in 50 years is a testament to his success. It seems there's no great secret to what he does. Selection forestry is based on common sense and working with nature.
What we're looking at here is a tree so badly damaged by the snow that it won't recover. Now, there's such things in the balanced forest. We have a whole ecosystem. And this tree will now go into a phase of its existence where it will provide food for the woodpeckers, which are my pest control, a natural control that doesn't poison the atmosphere or people or anything else. So that is more valuable now as a potential woodpecker banquet hall, if you want to call it that, than it is for any other purpose. A forest is an entity within itself. It consists of the systems in the soil that make the plant food available to the trees. It consists of the flora and fauna that are in the forest. It consists of the trees. And all must remain in something like a natural balance, or you're in trouble. And we've got ourselves into trouble all over the world by failing to see that this entity must be maintained. We can't restore it. We're absolutely fools to think we can. We can't restore it once we've destroyed it. So it's far better to maintain it. It can be maintained.